Little did Marinus van der Lubbe know, this day in 1933 would alter the course of Germany and all of Europe. It was the night of February 27th, a cold winter evening in Berlin. The Reichstag, the luminous glass and stone heart of parliamentary Germany, became a torch in minutes. Flames licked the debating chamber, smoke stung the eyes of those who gathered outside, and the city watched a symbol of representative rule burn. To understand why one building mattered so much, we need context. The Weimar Republic staggered through economic collapse, political street fights, and a fractious parliament. Adolf Hitler had been appointed chancellor just 4 weeks earlier, on January 30th, 1933, leading a coalition whose power was far from secure. The National Socialists wanted control, and the Republic's fragility offered opportunity. Within hours of the fire, Reich Minister of Propaganda Joseph Goebbels and other Nazi leaders seized the narrative. A young Dutchman, Marinus van der Lubbe, was caught at the scene and confessed. The Nazis blamed the communists. Hermann Göring declared that it was a communist plot to overthrow the state. The following day, President Paul von Hindenburg signed the Reichstag fire decree, officially the decree of the Reich president for the protection of people and state. Civil liberties were suspended, freedom of assembly, of the press, and protection from unlawful search and seizure were gutted. Police could detain people without normal legal safeguards. That decree was the fulcrum. Thousands of communists, trade unionists, and political opponents were arrested. Newspapers were shut down. In the weeks that followed, the Nazis used fear and administrative force to neutralize opposition ahead of the March 5th elections. By March 23rd, the Reichstag passed the Enabling Act, granting Hitler's cabinet the authority to enact laws without parliamentary consent. The legal scaffolding for dictatorship was in place. But the fire itself birthed a conspiracy debate that still divides historians. The simplest account is that van der Lubbe, a disgruntled, politically committed Dutch leftist with a history of arson and erratic behavior, set the fire alone as an act of protest. His confession, his presence at the scene with incendiary material, and his later testimony fit that narrative. In that reading, the Nazis did not start the blaze. They exploited it with ruthless speed. The alternate conspiracy holds that the Nazis orchestrated the burning as a false flag operation. Supporters of this view point to the improbability of such a convenient disaster, the speed with which Nazi leaders used the event to crush dissent, and accounts that SA men were in the vicinity. They note that foreign communists, including Georgy Dimitrov, were arrested and brought to trial, and that the spectacle of the defendants in Leipzig offered the regime propaganda value. Proponents argue that even if van der Lubbe lit the matches, others could have aided or allowed it to happen. Historically accurate nuance matters. At the Leipzig trial of September 1933, Georgy Dimitrov and 2 other foreign communists were acquitted. The German defendants connected to the Communist Party were not convicted. Van der Lubbe was found guilty and executed on January 10, 1934. Scholarly opinion remains divided, but the leading consensus among many modern historians is that van der Lubbe probably acted alone, while the Nazis, whether knowing or not, immediately manipulated the event to achieve political ends. The absolute proof of a premeditated Nazi arson plot has not been established beyond doubt. What is indisputable is the consequence. The Reichstag fire and the decree that followed destroyed whatever remained of Weimar democratic safeguards. A legalistic veneer masked the dismantling of constitutional rights. Within weeks, a pluralistic political system became a one-party state. The loss of procedural protections and the normalization of state terror opened the door to the larger crimes that would follow. The Reichstag's charred beams were more than timber. They were the first, loudest public signal that a modern European democracy could be felled not only by armies in the field, but by the arson of its institutions. Whether conspiracy or opportunity, the blaze of February 27, 1933, remains a cautionary tale about how emergency and fear can be turned into law, and how quickly rights can be extinguished when power is willing to feed the flames.